So, welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success story series of interviews where we discuss with both local business leaders their backgrounds, their successes, their challenges, and what's really driving them forwards. And this afternoon, I'm delighted to have with us Richard Abrahams and Miranda Arieh of Rewired. So, Richard and Miranda, thank you so much for joining us. And if you'd like to introduce yourselves, Rewired, what you do, how you help people, that would be wonderful.
Go on, Miranda. You never lost for words.
No, I am. No, I'm Miranda Arieh, and I'm a motivational speaker and mental health specialist. I run events with Richard here, with Rewired, and also I founded the Heroes Mental Health Program, which stands for Healing, Education, and Recovery of Emotional Strength, and we're currently expanding through the NHS.
Wonderful. And Richard?
So I have two businesses, two interests. My established business is Elmhurst Windows in Leeds, family business. We've been going for 50 years, and I've been running it for 32. And we do have a special offer on, by the way.
Brilliant.
Christmas. You never miss an opportunity, do you, Chris?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And fit before Christmas. And my other passion is public speaking and mental health, predominantly helping men's mental health, challenges men face. And together with Miranda, we formed a Rewired, which is an organisation that basically puts on events for mental health and wellbeing.
Yeah, brilliant. And I'm conscious from speaking to you both and from going your websites, you both had have backgrounds of experiences of your own mental health challenges, as have I, go back some time. It's nice to see, I would suggest, more people being open and talking about these issues, because it is something that I guess I'm looking back at my own situation. It was very difficult to talk to people at the time, and a lot of people didn't understand it. In fact, I remember my partner at the time didn't understand it very much at all, which was interesting. And so I guess it's really important that you're helping people start conversations about this very, very important topic.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's important not just on a wider societal scale, obviously for the greater good, but also on a personal level. I guess what is brought into the picture with working from a place of lived experience is it becomes quite a cathartic thing as well. So, one of my favorite quotes is, "When I am healed, I am not healed alone." So in this journey of sort of supporting the healing of others, what it's done for me, it's become an extremely empowering experience for me. And the more that I heal, the more I'm able to teach, and the more I'm able to spread that healing outwards. It doesn't just contain within me. And the value of lived experience for me in mental health care is, in all honesty, I believe it's unparalleled, because there are some things that you just can't learn from a textbook. There are some things that you just can't learn from a course. Obviously, we get so many amazing practitioners that are just, trained academically beautiful. That's great as well. But lived experience brings an edge of the deepest level of empathy of I've actually been there. So this understanding that we get of those issues from that place is really unparalleled to me. And so that lived experience, where I used to be so ashamed to talk about it for so many decades of my life, particularly my inpatient hospitalisation that I had when I was in my teenage years, which I'm sure we'll come on to with both mine and Richard's stories. But I guess I used to have so much shame about it. Now, for me, it's my greatest gift and it's my greatest power, that lived experience.
I totally agree. And what is sort of, as you go along, Miranda, you see people, listen to people ring you for some help or advice or whatever, or you're just generally just looking at people and think, I've seen those signs. You know what? This person's suffering, and because I've been there, and that is the most powerful thing. And, some people are looking for, an excuse not to say they've got mental health issues, whatever. But actually, that lived experience is I agree with you. We're not professional clinicians, but we have experiences to help each other, to explain to people what it feels like, how you go through it, and how you can move on. So yeah, that's very powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and there's a humanness to mental health care when it comes with that edge,
Yes.
because we realize that healing in truth comes from, when we have a healing interaction with someone who's a practitioner or a support worker or a family member or a friend,
Yep.
someone going through mental health struggles. We see that the most important thing is not the education, the learnings that we've done, but how human can we be in that interaction? How gently can we listen? And with how much presence can we respond? And with how much humanness can we validate?
Yeah.
And they're really the keys to being able to work in mental health in whatever way. I really believe. And education is a huge part as well. It's amazing to have the knowledge, but knowledge only becomes wisdom when we put it into practice.
Yes. Yeah. No, that makes sense. You made me think here because I'm really pleased that sort of large corporate organisations do have mental health first aid type programs. In fact, one of my best friends in a large organisation is one of those people. But I typically work with, and these podcasts are definitely are more aimed at SME businesses that won't have that ability to invest in those sorts of programs. So for anyone that's watching that might say, well, I've got a team and maybe 5, 10, 20, 30 people, are there some signs of initial challenges that you could advise us on that they might want to look out for in their teams?
Oh, I can't tell if you were about to go then, Richard.
I
You
should
go.
ask individual. I apologise.
I thought you'd have already answered the question by now, Miranda.
Yeah, well, challenges that we see in big groups, how can we look out for those mental health struggles?
Yes. So
Well,
if
we
I'm a
need
business,
to,
sorry, go
yeah,
on.
within a culture, within any organization, we need to breed a foundational culture of inviting authenticity in expression of what is going on emotionally for people. This
Yeah.
doesn't mean that we invite a culture of everyone, they're spewing the guts up all over the place emotionally. Pardon the sort of grotesque way I just put that, but we want to invite a culture where it really is okay to not be okay, and where that
Yes.
turn of phrase doesn't just become a slogan, where we mean it.
Yeah.
And where we are leading with heart-centered leadership means that we invite those conversations and we bring it weekly at a minimum into the conversation, whether it's in the newsletter, whether it's in the team meeting, whether it's within a conversation in the kitchen, where we're genuinely showing interest in how people are doing within their general well-being. If we breed that culture, we're able to spot things easier because people are more likely to come forward.
Yes.
But for those that are not coming forward, you know, because it is really hard to talk. I mean, we know that, like, that, Richard, don't you, as well? I'm sure you've found that, Chris. I've definitely found that it's really hard to talk, particularly when we've got the professional mask on. If we want to
Yeah.
validate that, it can be really, really hard. But for managers or team members that want to be sort of like on the lookout when someone's not doing so well, mental health issues can manifest in many, many different ways. And do you know what? There's millions of ways, which I won't bore you with a big long list. But one of the ways that we might see the manifest, which is one that's really not often spoken about, I would say, is someone being extremely grumpy, irritable, maybe seeming rude, maybe. Now, some workplaces love to gossip, right? And sometimes it's just like, oh my God, what a am I allowed to swear?
Yes.
what a bitch, like, oh God, they're
Definitely.
being a bit of a bitch, or oh my God, what's wrong with such and such? Well, a lot of the time fight is a very real trauma response when people are feeling terrible about themselves. You know, like I said before at the beginning,
Yes.
when I'm healed, I'm not healed alone. If I feel in a good place in my relationship with me and I'm having a happy time of life, well, that sure as hell is going to be shining outwards, and I'm going to be really kind to everyone. Well, it's the exact same with the opposite. You know, sometimes the gentlest thing that we can do to be trauma informed in the workplace, if someone is showing up as like really quite irritable or unkind or rude even, is to sometimes, instead of just going, all right, don't be so, is to go, is to not take it personally and go, and maybe go like, are you okay? I'm noticing that you
Yeah.
seem a bit edgy. I just want you to know I'm here. Okay.
Brilliant.
That's just so it's something that not a lot of people talk about.
Yeah, I mean, Chris mentioned, thanks. You mentioned about corporates, but I run a small business, and the fact that I was out of action for a few months in the
Yes.
business, where the business suffered because of that,
Yeah.
and it's very interesting. I mean, I come from we're in the window door construction industry. It's a very man sort of,
Yeah.
macho type industry. Okay. And I've got, quite a few installers, window fitters, the big guys, blah, blah, blah. Now, interestingly enough, because they've seen me suffer, uh, they have become educated with regard to the challenges and stresses of running a small business or whatever. And it's very interesting that these particular on a couple of occasions, I've had these guys in my office absolutely, because I always say come and have a chat, and you can sense something's not right, and they've broken down completely, and they've just asked for help, which
Yeah.
would never ever have happened sort of previously. It's a bit like
Yeah.
they've been educated, and running a business is tough, but they've seen it, so in a way they've been educated, and I've been able to help them again back to the lived experiences, but you can see it a mile off. So it's having that, and I know you're the podcast goes out to sort of small business owners, but having that open door policy, has been invaluable to some of the guys that work for me.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting actually, and it takes me back to I was asked to at the last minute host a bereavement conference a couple of years ago, or last year I think in York, and one of the speakers was Richard McCann, who I'm guessing you probably are
Yeah.
aware of,
Yeah.
and he was kind enough to actually having been in the audience when I was just talking about a couple of things. One of the things we do in Action Coach, which is purely designed to bring teams together, but has quite a powerful impact, is at the start of any meeting or coaching session, or whether it's one to one or one to many, we have what we call a whiffle, and the whiffle stands for what I feel like expressing, and
Mm,
and, and the principle is how we feel is always correct.
Mm.
It's what's making us feel like that is our interpretation of events, communication, things that have happened in our lives, and it just allows us to come together and say it's okay if you're not feeling okay, as I think one of you said earlier. But if we know that, we can make allowances, whether it's something very, very serious as we're discussing, or whether it's just I'm worried about a family member that's ill, or I've got to fix my car and I haven't got any money, or whatever it might be. But it just allows people to be open with their feelings. And Richard was kind enough to post a few days after that he'd introduced that into his team meetings with his team, and it's just great to make sure people feel comfortable saying how they feel.
That's amazing, yeah, and it's testament to that being such a powerful exercise that he's kind of taken it into his own business. You know that you've had a good idea when someone else is like, "I'm taking that on."
I was amazed. I mean, and I have to be careful how we introduce this, but it was demonstrated to me how powerful it was.
Mm.
Um, Quite a few years ago, working with a business, and we were having an event with a team, and we hadn't really introduced this Whiffle at that point, but we were having a sort of a planning event, and one of the members of the team was clearly, I mean, you mentioned being grumpy, was very actively disengaged, if that makes sense. it wasn't. It was, not looking at his phone, but just looking down, and to a point where the owner of the business said, because this guy happened to be a family member of theirs, said, "Are you okay?" And he sort of said, "Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay." And we introduced the whiffle the following week, and I wasn't there, but they went around, and the guy that was disengaged at the session was actually said, when he was able to say how he felt, he said, "I haven't been able to tell anybody, but for a few weeks I've been having suicidal thoughts." Uh,
Wow.
and I just I just
Yeah.
was amazed how powerful that just a way of giving people permission to say how they're feeling is so important.
Wow.
And Miranda and I have been working with, not just employees, but with business owners, typical of my situation, running a small business. And, the small business owner, and I think we've had this discussion, Chris, and until you get to a certain mm, size, whether it be turnover, whatever, that small business owner is literally eating and breathing the deal
Yes.
24/7.
Yeah.
And head of finance, head of marketing, head of HR, blah blah. And it's such a pivotal role that the MD takes on. But at the same time, he's also got his family and his parents and whatever else is going on. So actually, there is as well as trying to run the business and consider cash flow and leads and sales, whatever. There's so much going on. So as I say, and Miranda and I have had some really good successes working with people, senior people in small businesses, because it can be very lonely.
Yeah. I, I
Yeah.
totally get that. It is, and it's interesting. Exactly, you said that, Richard. The number of business owners I meet that will say that have chosen, understandably so, but taken the weight of the world on their shoulders. So they'll talk about, "I've got all these mouths to feed. All these people depend on me." And that's a hell of a responsibility for anyone to place on themselves, I feel. And I say to them, look, and I will say to activists, I say, look, that's not your responsibility. They're all grown ups. That if they didn't work here, they'd work somewhere else. It's not healthy for you to take that responsibility. It's great that you feel your role is important, but when you go past a certain point, I think it can be quite unhealthy.
And I think the problem with people in general that haven't experienced anything to do with the mental health, that suddenly it creeps up on them like it did with me, is that, first of all, and I'm sure you'll back me up on this, Miranda, that there is still a lot of, maybe the word's not naivety, but you know, generally people don't know what to do, where to go, or how to cope with it, or who to speak to.
Yeah,
It is quite frightening. It is, well, I think I need some help, but what do I do? And,
yes,
and even very educated people who are very streetwise, blah, blah, when it comes to the mental health side, they haven't got a clue. So there's a lot of education that is still required.
yeah,
Don't you agree, Miranda?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and the more that we can be having these conversations, not just in the workplace, but in everyday life,
Mm.
Life, the more, what I'm noticing personally in my own life, the more vulnerable that I become with my authentic truth, particularly around my emotional state or where I'm at right now, what I'm processing at that time, the more I can be courageous enough to be vulnerable with it and be real with it and be authentic with it, the deeper my connections
yes,
become, the wider my world becomes, the more powerful my business action becomes. Because, if we are disconnected from ourselves and masking our experience, it's not actually possible for us to connect with another person.
yeah,
It was this disconnect from ourselves. So we can go and we can perform, boom, 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 right on cue. We can go mask to the world and pretend we're okay, or keep firefighting, or disengage because it feels like a protectionism, or whatever form that distress comes out in. But really, until we're able to fully be real with where we're at, and it takes a lot of courage, and it can
Yeah.
feel really, really challenging. Until we're able to do that, we're not really able to fully to connect with anyone. And we're not able to actually heal anything. And none of those emotions go anywhere. And they don't get less, they build and they grow,
Yes.
get bigger. So the more that we can invite these authentic conversations around mental health, around well-being, around what we're processing, around difficult events in our lives, the better. But I want to honour that it can feel like the most terrifying thing in the world. And, it can have a lot of shame attached to it, particularly if like we're meant to be, right, I'm supposed to be like supporting all these work employees, and I need to be seen as, I need to be seen as whatever, the mental health specialist, or, whatever it is for people in their own business. It can come with a lot of challenge, but growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone. We all know that, don't we?
Definitely.
Yeah. There's a big power in vulnerability, as Brené Brown, one of my favourite authors, would say.
Yes. It was funny. I was watching a video on your website, Miranda, just before we started, and I think you used the phrase, "That's all the good stuff happens on the other side of fear."
Oh yeah.
And that reminds me. I feel to be a wonderful video of Will Smith talking about going skydiving, and that's exactly his phrase was about all the fear is before you skydive. It's before you get in the plane. It's the night before. It's on the plane when you're safe, and yet when you're actually skydive, that's when all the fun happens and the fear goes, and it's quite an engaging thing. But it is such a difficult thing, isn't it? But I know personally, interestingly enough, that I took a decision quite a long time ago as a business coach. So my job and my role is to create and help people with success and achieve the results of the ones they have. So my belief was I had to be permanently positive. It's very much what you were just saying. So it was the mask of I will help you be successful, and I've got to be successful, and I've got to all my track record should be successful. So you believe in my ability to help you with succeed. But I took a decision quite a while ago, is to be honest about my first business pretty much broke me because I didn't know how to do it. And that's why I do this now, is to help people do it better so that they can enjoy it, not just tolerate business.
To tell you what, I would not want to learn about success from someone who hasn't got a list of failures, because this is such part of it. So again, it's that's lived experience itself, isn't it, Chris?
Yes.
For you, like in that business way, like actually we need to be able to say, this is what I learned from this failure.
Yes.
These are my learnings. Because if someone's just always succeeded everything they've done, it's like, well, where's the learning?
Absolutely. No, I exactly that. It was great to see how much more engagement I had with people. That once, as you say, be honest and authentic,
because they can connect with that.
Yes,
it's a very human experience, isn't it? Like, so being vulnerable with that, and I love that what you've just shared, because that's an example in action of that, isn't it? Like, you're thinking, oh my God, is this going to disconnect and disengage my whole potential client base or audience? Is this but actually by being like, okay, this is real, this is what went on for me, they were like, okay, now I'm engaged, because you could connect there because you're being real.
Yeah, it really. Richard, I think you're muted. No, you're muted at the moment, Richard. I think if you can. Sorry, you're muted. I can see you talking, but you're muted, Richard. I'm so sorry. I don't know. There we are. That's it.
I don't like to be muted.
Yeah.
Miranda, how did you mute me?
How dare it? How dare it mute you?
No, but Miranda, the other thing is, and I'm sure you'll agree, as well as learning a lot about from failure, I think I've learned a lot and changed from, suppose, having what they call a breakdown, i.e., been through the worst case scenario, the terrible time in the psychiatric hospital, and then coming back. But a lot of I know, yeah, it sounds like, oh yes, we're living my sort of second life or whatever, best life, but actually, I am, because I've learned so much from the bad bits, and it's taught me a lot, and I've changed, and I think that also is very important. So yeah, maybe it's not bad having a breakdown, Miranda.
Yeah, this is it, and it's all about the way that we frame it, isn't it? Like, because
Yeah.
for me,
No, it's not. It's not good at having a breakdown. It's not at
it's
all.
really
I'm
hard.
joking.
Yeah,
Not at the time, no.
it's
But,
horrific. It's
oh my
horrific.
God, I can't
But
even go
like
there.
through my deepest suffering,
Mm,
the emotional suffering, which has been, it's been so intense in my life as well that I've been
mm.
hospitalized and, you know, I had many different treatments under the sun, treatments in inverted commas, I'm going to say, and, being extremely poorly with my mental health throughout my life, not knowing how to manage my emotions, not knowing how to live. I guess on reflection with neurodivergence as well into the mix, and living with the after effects of complex trauma. But now it doesn't mean I don't suffer anymore, because I've become I've become very specialized and obsessed with learning about mental health and going on my own healing journey. It doesn't mean I don't suffer anymore, but it means I'm able to hold my own hand through it, so the trauma doesn't go as such, but I've learned to work with it. And by me being able to go into the suffering with the angle, okay, there is an opportunity for healing in here somewhere. I've been
Mm,
able to even create methods of working with my suffering, or working with my sort of inner child that was frozen in time, or working with certain experiences of anxiety in new ways. So I've created tools which I can now share with other people. So I've been able to use my suffering. And now I'm like on a big crusade with everyone that I work with or speak with, or that goes through the Heroes program, in saying that all situations properly perceived become an opportunity to heal, that we all have the power to use our suffering to crack open that bit deeper and heal something from our past. And it can feel excruciating when we're going through an experience of, for example, grief. It knocked me out last year. Richard knows it knocked me out. I wasn't able to function.
mm,
Knowing all I know on a cognitive level, I didn't know if I was ever going to feel okay again. I was waking up every morning going, I don't know how I'm going to ever even feel okay again. But by my experience of allowing myself to feel everything, surrender fully to the experience, keep the thought in my mind in all moments, in here, in here, there is an opportunity for me to crack that bit more open. I know, the faith that it bred in me, and trust, not in a religious way, but the faith and trust that it brought open in me. I now sit a year down the line in the happiest place I've ever
mm.
been in my life, quite sincerely, quite
Yeah,
sincerely.
yeah,
And yeah, so at the time, yeah, it can feel excruciating, but that little glimpse, if we can
yeah.
believe the idea that within every bout of suffering, there is an opportunity in there for healing, some learning, that thought alone is enough
Yeah.
to
I
heal.
tell you, I've got well, not a message as such, but I'll give you an example of what happened today. Um, and obviously, people listening to the podcast, Chris, will probably appreciate this because, as we all know, running businesses is very draining. But I felt really rough this morning, Miranda, when I woke. I felt drained, and I'd really worked hard last few days. And you know what? I thought I've got to get my act together. And I thought I'm not going in the office. I'm going to the gym. I'm going to have a steam room sauna. I'm just going to chill out, and I'm going to have a bit of lunch, and I'm just going to have a bit of time to myself. And now I feel different class. But my old self might have said, I feel guilty for not going in the office. Hang on, I've got staff, right? Or, what am I missing? And hang on a minute, turn that phone off. And so I would never have done that in the old days, as it were. So if there's a simple message there, what would it be, Miranda? I've just listened to my body and I just thought, I can't do much today. But
Instead
now
of
I'm
plowing on through, it's like it's so tempting, isn't it? And we'll always find the ego will always go, but you're too busy. There's not enough time. And we get, and it's that ability to step back, zoom out a little bit, and like you say, Richard, like not override yourself anymore.
A few hours off makes you feel so good,
and then makes you more productive as well. It's like having a rest is sometimes the most productive thing we can do.
I'm ready for my night job now.
I find the same. It's really interesting. I find the same over the last couple of years. Just if my body or my mind says, don't do, have a rest, do something, and it might be something really mundane, but it's okay, and it's just giving yourself permission. I think is so important.
Sorry. No. I bet
there's an ancient Buddhist quote. This is it. Yeah, there's an ancient Buddhist quote that comes to mind, and it says, meditate every day for 5 minutes, unless you're too busy, in which case meditate for 20.
That's interesting. I like that. I like
Love
that.
It. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Love
prevention,
that.
not the cure. Go for the prevention.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. So obviously you've come together and under the banner of Rewired, and you go out and talk to businesses or business owners or many people. So if just for the business owners out there, if they were to come to a talk with you guys, or for maybe some of the larger ones to invite you in to talk to them and their team, what sort of things would you be discussing?
Saunas, steam rooms.
Brilliant. I mean,
massage, of course. No, my wife thinks it's a waste of money going for a massage. No, come on, Miranda, be serious. Put your professional head on.
Well, you know what? We always have a consultation with businesses before we go into the organisation.
Yeah.
And we would create something bespoke down to their learning outcomes or any particular issues. So, for example, if an organisation is having an issue with lots of people being off sick due to their mental health, or if they're noticing that a few people are scared to talk, whatever, we will create something that's really interactive and bespoke to their learning outcomes that they want. Or if there's a lot of people would come to us because they maybe want to build that team rapport, that foundation that we spoke about earlier, that foundation, that culture within the organisation of it's okay to talk. So we would bring whatever their learning outcomes required of us. And at the same time, making sure that we always make sure it's really interactive, really fun, making sure that they're interacting with each other in the process as well. But also honouring that not everyone feels comfortable talking about mental health. So we wouldn't ever push people in that deep end unless it was requested and it was more of a support group style. But yeah, we like to make it, again, it's about, for us, it feels like it's about being really real about the conversations around mental health, and making sure that it's a very human approach rather than of course there's professionalism there, but it's not about a stiff upper lip. It's not about formality. But yeah, we bring with us a wealth of knowledge and lived experience.
Yeah, and I think from my point of view, I think it blends well with Miranda's experiences and material because, I'm from a sales background and, salespeople are very much, up and down people. And we do have our highs and lows. And there's a lot of interaction between psychology and mental health with salespeople. And, at the beginning of the week, I was feeling a bit down in the dumps because I haven't really had much success last week or two sales-wise. Then 3 or 4 sales and you're buzzing. And I know that that is the salesperson. But you know what? There's a lot going on with salespeople and in their heads. So we have been working with sales teams as well, and a lot on the psychology side. So there are, there are links between. So we can, we can offer quite a bit, really.
Yeah, and I think that's such an important point that you just spoke about there, Richard, because it's like when we talk about that resilience, the idea of building mental resilience, really in truth, that true mental resilience, there's a huge test for people when it comes into sales, and within basically that's within any business, really. If you think about it, even if you don't think you're a salesperson, it's like you've got a business, you want clients in whatever way. And the real test of mental resilience is how consistent is my inner state of peace, happiness, contentment when things are doing well or not so well on the external. Like, is my happiness reliant on an outcome from the external world where we're going to be in suffering because we can't control that? So it's like, that's a great test of mental resilience. And that sort of sales field is a real tester, or like I said earlier, an opportunity for, okay, how much deeper can I surrender into a state of peace from within here in those moments when things aren't going as well, and it's one that really cracks you open, I think, as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. I've tried to get Miranda selling double glazing, but she just can't. She can't close the deal.
My windows are leaking as well. I'm in such a state of inner peace that it's not affecting me as much. No, it did actually really affect me.
Over a shop and in the most inaccessible area. What can I do?
It's a really good point though, and I find that in people who work with, and myself especially, is getting away from I'll be happy when when I close the next deal, or when I've got X in the bank, or and the challenge is and the interesting thing is it's exactly the reverse. So if I am happy, then I'll probably will win the next sale or have this much in the bank.
Hell yeah.
And it's such a different way around. There's a guy, I don't know if you've come across it, a guy called Richard Wilkins, who I haven't done any work with him for a long time, and he used to, I don't think he badged himself, but he used to badge himself as the minister of inspiration. He's quite a wild and wacky guy. He's a lovely bloke, and he always said, we're all just searching for a feeling. That's what success is for us all. It's just how we feel. But his proposition, one of the propositions, is how we think affects how we feel. So he uses describes as a sausage machine. Forgive me if either of you are vegetarian, but a sausage machine. He says if you want garlic sausage, if you want to make garlic sausages, you've got to put a bit of garlic in the machine. So if you want to have happy feelings, guess what? We need happy thoughts. And it was really interesting that unfortunately he describes he uses the word the script. The script typically is the negative thoughts that we have on a regular basis, that he can't be that good, or I don't deserve that. And when we have those thoughts, it's almost impossible for the feelings to come out that we're happy.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that analogy. And it is really around recognizing that a lot, well, I'd say the majority of our suffering comes from not a situation that's occurring in our lives, but from what we're making it mean, or the thoughts we're having about it, how we're perceiving it, how we're perceiving that other person or the situation. There is, one of my favorite books is A Course in Miracles, and it's all based around claiming the miracle, in inverted commas, claiming the miracle of a shift in perception. What is possible here? How can I choose to see this differently? And above all else, it's a lovely game to play. It's a lovely mental exercise to play. We obviously have situations in our lives that are just devastating, like again, going back to grief, for example. That's my most recent sort of breakdown, if you want to use that word that Richard used earlier. Nothing, it's so final, nothing can be done to change that, to change that situation. But the thoughts, working with them in a deeply compassionate way. There's a gentleness about this work, not attack. Working with those thoughts, and when we say reframing, it's not harsh, and there is a gentleness with it that comes with it. There's a kindness that comes with it. Working with them in that way is, I would liken it to like an emotional sit up. It's like you're not going to go run a marathon without stretching. I mean, I'm not going to go run one at all, in all honesty, but you're not going to go run it without stretching. You pull a muscle. But this returning to this reframing, what is possible here? How can I choose to see this differently? Is there a miracle I'm not claiming here? The situation looks bad, but what am I telling myself about it? How can I work with that part of me in suffering? These different ways. It's a mental exercise, and God, does it pay off? Because when we can run a marathon of the mind, anything is possible. And the place that we are in, when we have those interactions, whether it's in sales or otherwise, yeah, Chris, like you say, it's like that energy communicates and it comes back. It's it comes back. So doing those mental exercises is good mental hygiene.
And just remind us the name of the book.
So which book was that? Did I just refer to? Oh, A Course in Miracles. A Course in Miracles.
Course of Miracles. Interesting.
A Course in Miracles.
Course in Miracles. Right.
It's a metaphysical text. It's a very unique, deeply spiritual metaphysical text. And there's one lesson every day for 365 days in a row.
Okay.
And it really transformed my life. It uses religious language, but it's not about religion at all. But it does instill a deep sense of faith and trust. And it really did transform my life, that book.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And do you have any other recommendations for anyone that's interested to get more involved or understanding this very, very important subject?
Yeah, well, A, you could book myself and Richard for a little talk or a workshop. B, the Heroes program, the program that I'm rolling out through the NHS, and we've finally got a private digital version coming at the beginning of next year that guides people on the journey of this awakening journey, really, and this mindset shifting journey, this compassion, building the relationship to the self journey, and that's coming in January. That's a 7-week program. And there's tons of other books. I mean, I could send you a list of books that you could put in the show notes if you want, Chris. I've got so many recommended learnings.
That would be lovely.
Authors such as Brené Brown, Gabby Bernstein, Eckhart Tolle, Deepak Chopra. There's so many amazing authors out there teaching this stuff.
That'd be great. Yeah, let's do that. Let's put it in the notes and just people can dive in if they need to. Any guys, it's been fascinating. I'm sure I could talk all evening. I'm just thinking, any last thoughts before we wrap up?
You need to go for a week, Chris. So you better wrap up quickly. I don't know if you're going to put that on the podcast, but at least I'm being honest.
Being authentic, just practicing in real time.
Yeah, you're right. No, I think listen, it's never too late to learn more. That's what I find.
Yep.
We're learning all the time, and I think for men in particular, it is getting better. Men are speaking more, but there's still a long way to go. And, from my perspective, I'm trying to sort of spread the word with some of the talks that I'm doing. Miranda the same. So we love it. We're passionate about this subject. And, we're always happy to help anybody.
Well, look, I that comes across very, very strongly for both of you, so it's wonderful. And we've talked before we started about coming and maybe talking at one of the events that we run probably in the new year. But from what you said, for anyone watching that would like to get in touch, what's the best way of getting in touch with you guys if they'd like to know more about what you do and maybe hopefully book you for a session either as for their business, for a group of businesses?
Yeah, we've
got sorry, go Miranda. Yeah.
We've both got websites. We haven't got a Rewired one as such yet, but my website is at heroesprogram.com, and there's a contact form on there which comes directly to myself and my team, or mirandaarieh.com. They lead to the same place. And Richard, what's your...
Well, I've got enquiries at richardabrahams.co.uk, and I've got a website myself, richardabrahams.co.uk. So either or, a pleasure to speak to anybody.
Brilliant. Well, I think what would be great is maybe come and have another session of the chat and do this again because, as I say, it's a topic that's so important, and I think
Mm.
whatever you guys, the great work you're doing to get people to talk about it is that's
Yeah,
where it starts, isn't it? Let's just have a conversation about how we're feeling and it's yeah, and however that happens, it's so important. And so, guys, thank you so much for your time today. It's been
yeah,
been really fascinating, and yeah, it's made me think about a few things looking back on my life and various things. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
no problem. Thank you.
It's a real pleasure. Thank you so much for having us, Chris.
Thank you.